Alright, so recently we made a video talking about whether the Eternal King's Rod was worth it or not. And in that comment section, aside from the fact that you guys were going back and forth whether No Life Rod was better or the Eternal King's Rod was better, one thing that I did notice was a lot of people asking me why I was fishing at the Ancient Isles waterfall instead of fishing at depths because it makes more money. Now, for a long time, we've all known that depths makes the most amount of money, but when it comes to money making methods, they tend to get nerfed fairly often. I mean, if you guys remember back when the goldfishes were pretty much the hot money maker, those remained as the best XP, but they did unfortunately eventually become the worst money in the entire game. So like we pretty much always do every single time that a whole new area and this controversy begins, we're going to run our test today using a rod of my choice, which specifically today is going to be the No Life Rod with the Abyssal enchant on it. Now, I know that this totally goes against everything that I said as of recently with the entire Eternal Kings video, because I did say that that was going to be my daily use now. The reason why I am making the swap is because of the Royal Escort. I don't really want the Royal Escort to pop up, for example, in maybe my first run over at depths, but not pop up when I'm doing it over at Ancient Isles, and then obviously get a huge amount of money difference because of the fact that I wasn't able to get it to pop. Now, obviously, the argument is a little bit more or less the same even with using Abyssal, because it is sort of a 10% chance of being able to get an Abyssal mutation, but I do feel like it's a little more on the fair side, so for that reason, we're going to stick to it. Now, the way that we're going to do this luck-wise is going to be the exact same that we've been doing it pretty much the last couple of times. I will not be buying 8 times server luck, and the reason for this is because realistically, majority of the people that are going for money runs are not going to be running this 24 hours. Instead, we will only be running Merlin luck as well as Aurora Totem, and that's because there actually is a lot of servers out there that are running 24/7 Aurora Totem. Some people don't know this, but you can actually get like 4 or 5 different people and constantly be shuffling in between each other with Aurora Totems, and it actually becomes profitable to do it. This has pretty much been a common practice since the Aurora Totem was introduced. But anyways, man, let's do a quick little sell here of our inventory. I don't think I really have anything. I'm pretty sure I just cleared it out. So we're pretty good to go so far. As far as bait goes, I think I'm going to go with fish head. The reason for this is because majority of the mythicals down here, I think like 2 out of 3, their preferred bait is the fish head. So I'm going to use this one. And on top of that, it gives me that lure speed that I need to be able to get the instant catch. So let's go ahead and cycle through this, get ourselves a fresh night, activate our first Aurora Totem, and let's see how much we earn from a depth run as of recently, which I'm going to be honest, I haven't been in here in quite some time. More specifically since Ancient Isles was released, so I'm curious. There has been sort of rumors saying that depths is not really the best anymore. Then there's a lot of people out there that stand by it and say that it still is the best. There is truly only one way to find out, and we're going to figure that out right now. Let's go ahead and get started with this. Now, I'm actually going to cycle away from this because we just got shiny fish, and I don't want to have any type of boost. All right, there we go. Now it's time to go ahead and start this up. Let's use our Aurora Totem and begin this entire journey. All right, so there we go. That concludes the entire first run for us. I feel like it went pretty well. We got a lot of mutated sharks and a pretty good amount of sea snakes as well, to be honest. I feel like, assuming that the prices weren't changed, this is probably going to be an over 100k run. If it isn't, my second guess would probably be like an 80k run. Now, here's the catch though. I did go ahead and catch a total of 6 enchant relics, but I'm not going to be selling those because normally I wouldn't even sell them myself. But I do understand that does count towards the total amount. So we'll be generous and we'll say that they're selling for about 1,000 a piece. So we'll slap on like an extra 6k or round off to whatever the actual total ends up being. So let's take a look here. We're going to go ahead and sell all. The grand total is 122k. So we'll say that it was 125k. We'll say 130k if you include the 6 enchant relics. So there we go. I went ahead and put that down in my notepad. Now let's move over to the Ancient Shores waterfall to see how much we actually make over there. Now, to be completely honest, over here it's going to be a little bit trickier because technically speaking, the preferred baits over here are squid and truffle worm, both of which provide negative lure speed. So neither one of these can I actually choose without having to unfortunately sacrifice the instant catch. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the next best thing being the Ginsu shark, which is also fish head. We're going to keep the same exact bait activated right now. I know it's kind of a little bit unfair, but at the same time, if I switch over to squid and truffle worm, it's also going to be unfair because it's not going to be an instant catch anymore. I guess for that reason, we're sort of resorting to quantity over quality here. Now, again, just like before, we're going to do a quick little sell inventory to make sure that everything is good. We are perfectly fine. So now let's sundial until we get a knight that doesn't have any type of boost whatsoever. We somehow got a megalodon before I actually got a knight that isn't boosted. Jeez, bro. I ain't gonna lie, I couldn't help myself, man. We ended up here. As soon as I catch this, we'll go right back to it. Honestly, it feels like I didn't suffer enough yesterday, and they're just making me take forever to get this now. I feel like it's been at least 10 minutes. But yeah, when I'm in a server with other people, 2 minutes, boom, we got it.
Many hours later.
That literally took so long that it is now nighttime. I didn't catch the megalodon, and it despawned. That was worse than any of the attempts from yesterday. I'm never going for a megalodon again. All right, so we've got ourselves a fresh night. Absolutely no events going on whatsoever. Let's pop our Aurora and let's get started with this. All right, so that's it, man. And I'm going to be honest, kind of feels like we may have made more money. The mythics were sort of like back to back. And for some reason, those Mosasaurus kind of just like kept spawning. I don't know why. I feel like I've never actually gotten that many back to back. If we take a look over here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. That's insane, actually. I'm not fully aware off the top of my head how much these actually go for, but we ended up getting one that's abyssal, one that's hex, and one that's big. So this actually might be kind of insane. Either this just went ahead and completely blew out of the water depths, or it's going to be extremely close. So as mentioned before, this has to beat 130k. Can it do it? Let's see. By the way, I'd like to point out there was absolutely, dude, 124k. It's pretty close, man. I don't know. I would go as far as to say that there's not really much of a difference if you want to be here at Ancient Isles, since it is technically a lot easier to gain access to than having to, you know, find a whirlpool, get inside the gate, do the whole little obby. Guess this area is really not that bad either. Again, it is very possible that maybe over there at depths, it was a little bit more money because I did sort of just assume that I would get 1k from every single one of those relics. Maybe it was more than 1k. But regardless, man, I feel like these are way too close to say which one is better than the other. If anything, they're more or less kind of tied. Now, of course, depths does have the benefit of being able to get relics while you're farming there and making that little bit of more money. I guess at the end, depths still sort of comes in the lead here. It's kind of like the whole entire argument between no life rod and some of the other rods. We're like, yeah, no life rod technically has way more versatility. It allows you to put different enchants on it. It allows you to put a variety of different baits. Pretty much gives you a lot more freedom than something like the Eternal Kings, where you're sort of locked into getting hasty on it in order to really get that instant lure. So yeah, man, moral is you want to be making a bunch of millions. Find yourself a group of 4 or 5 people, constantly be switching in between each other on popping auroras. Technically, if you have 4 more people, including yourself, you will be making a tiny bit of a profit if you're having to buy one every single time that they cycle through. But if you have a lobby with like 10 people that are popping auroras, which in my private servers, we are somewhat constantly doing them, but not really so much lately. I will be jumping in there more often now and popping more auroras so we can get the ball rolling on that. But yeah, if you guys want to join that, like always, discord.gg/carbonmeister. Link will be at the very top of the comments. If we manage to get like 10 or 11 people in there doing it, that's quite a bit of profit. Either way, man, we like to make updated versions of this every single time that an update comes out. And because of all the buffs and nerfs that were needing to happen, I sort of prolonged it. But at least now we have a general idea for the next week of what to be choosing between depths and Ancient Isles. And now we sort of just prepare until the release of the Northern Expedition, and we do this all over again. Either way, man, I think for the most part, we're going to end it off right here. Like always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.